Hello everyone, I am Professor Nilesh Athole from Department of Botany, PhD VP Mandals, Arts, Science and Commerce College, Shahada, Nandurbar. Today we are going to learn about photoperiodism and biological clock, a most important topic in the life sciences syllabus which is under the heading that is physiology of the plants. Every year or in every exam, there is a one or two questions are asked. First of all, I am very much thankful to the members of Botany for You for creating such an innovative platform for the students of life sciences. So let's begin. What is photoperiodism? So students, photoperiodism is simply a photo period which is relative length of the day and night. And when we coin the term photoperiodism, it is physiological response of photoperiod of the plant, that is in the form of flowering, stem elongation and seed germination. Simply, we can coin it as an organism's capacity to measure day length is called as photoperiodism. So, who discovered the photoperiodism? First of all, Garner and Allard in 1920 used this discovery. A clear-cut hypothesis of photoperiodism was given by Garner and Allard, who have experimented on tobacco plant, and they have experimented on mutant Maryland mammoth variety. They concluded that relative length of the day is the most important factor for flowering. On the basis of photoperiodic response, there are some categories of plant. On the basis of these photoperiodic response, so what are the categories of the plants? These are short day plant. In short, they are called as SDP, long day plant LDP, day neutral plant and intermediate plants. So short day plants, as the name suggests, they require a short day for flowering. So what is the particular flowering period? Flower readily only when photoperiod is shorter than that of critical photoperiod, that is 13 hours. Then when the dark or night is longer than that of the 13 hours, these plants only flowers. So as in the image you are seeing, when the night is longer than that of the 13 hours, so mostly there is the 14 hours or 14 to 16 hours of darkness is required for these plant in order to flower. So that's why these are called as short day plants. And if the intermediate light is provided in the darkness, still these plants does not flower. Next one is the long day plant. As the name suggests, long day plants. These plants requires a longer period, critical period, that is more than that of the 13 hours. As the name suggests, simply they require a long day for flowering. So when plants gets more light more than that of the 14 to 16 hour, they flower. Such plants are called as long day plant. But some plants does not have any effect of day length or length of the night and darkness on the flowering. Such plants are called as the day neutral plant. For example, these are maize, cotton, tobacco, etc. So when photoperiodism phenomenon takes place, these plants are categorized on the basis of critical photoperiod. Some plants are intermediate plants. These plants require photoperiod of 15 to 12 hours for flowering. They are intermediate. For example, a most important example is the sugarcane. So what is flowering then? The process of flowering is pursued by a young and differentiated leaves. As the photoperiod is there, so this photoperiod is pursued by young and differentiated leaves. Flowering is a developmental phenomenon. Based on the photoperiodism, there is a photomorphogenesis. The important term which you will heard, that is the photomorphogenesis. So on the basis of photoperiodic response, various photomorphogenetic activities takes place in case of the plants. So these activities are SAM, elongation, flowering, vegetative parts which are converted into the floral parts. It occurs strictly in angiosperm, where vegetative meristem converts into the reproductive meristem, that is floral meristem. Floral meristem in turn gives rise to reproductive structure, that is flower. This process is controlled by environmental factor, physiological factor and genetic factor. Stages of flowering. So what are the stages of flowering? There are four different stages of flowering. Floral competency. So the parts must be competent to depend on size, shape and age. Floral determination, bud emergence and evocation. These are the four important stages occurs during the flowering. So there are some photoreceptor. The day and length, that is a photoperiod, is received by a photoreceptor which are present in especially the young leaves. So plants receives photoperiod through young leaves. In leaves, there is a presence of chromophore containing biomolecules which absorbs photon of given wavelength and use it for photoresponse. These molecules are called photoreceptors. Types of photoreceptors. So there are majoritarily three types of photoreceptors which are found in case of the plant. These are phytochromes, phototropin and cryptochrome. All photoreceptors contain a protein, that is chromoprotein, attached to light absorbing non-protein prosthetic group called as chromophore. This is the basic structure of every photoreceptor. Then phytochrome. How is the phytochrome? Where they are present? They are generally present in the leaves or young leaves. So there is a specific structure of phytochrome. They are protein and modulation of folding pattern of its dimer by red and far red light. It is particularly the proteinaceous nature pigments having the N terminus and C terminus. There are two parts of the phytochromes. One region is the photosensory region and second region or second part is the regulatory domain. And these two regions are interconnected by or separated by a hinge region. Phytochrome proteins consist of N-terminal photosensory region, C-terminal regulatory domain. Two are attached with a hinge region between them. Photosensory part has four domains as we have seen in the figure P1 and P4. P1 and P4 function in the inhibition of dark reversion of PFR to PR. P2, that is the PAS type, is involved in sensing of signals and P3 is binding site for phytochromobilin molecule. The regulatory region of phytochrome protein consists of two PAS type domain and C domain of regulatory region exhibit kinase activity. Phytochrome occurs in cytoplasm, not in plasma membrane. This is the most important point. Relationship between PR and PFR. So, phytochromes are far red and red light absorbing pigments. PR, it absorbs the red light at 660 nanometer when phytochromobulin is in cis form, and PFR, it absorbs far red light at 730 nanometer when phytochromobulin is in trans form. PFR is physiologically active form of phytochrome. How phytochrome works? This is the most important point. Working of phytochrome. In the red absorbing form of holoprotein PR, both subunits of phytochrome dimer are folded at hinge region, as we have seen in the diagram hinge region, so that N-terminal photosensory and C-terminal regulatory region are brought into contact with each other. Red light exposure opens up the structure in far red absorbing form of phytochrome, that is PFR, making its surface accessible to phytochrome interacting factor, that is PIF, in the signal transduction pathway. Phytochrome is activated in cytoplasm by the absorption of light and enters the nucleus as PFR, as PFR is most active form of phytochrome, and PFR interacts with PIF to alter gene transcription, which then enters into the nucleus and process of flowering takes place. Next pigment is phototropin. It is a flavoprotein with 2-FMN. Phototropin receptors are associated with plasma membrane and functions as light activated serine threonine kinase. The N-terminal of phototropin protein has the photosensory domain, and it is connected by a hinge with C-terminal serine threonine kinase domain. The photosensory region has two similar motifs of 110 amino acid each. They are called as LOV1 and LOV2 because of their sensitivity to light, oxygen and voltage, LOV, and their ability to bind the light sensing cofactor FMN. So this particular type of pigment is generally blue light activated pigment. So this type of pigment absorb mostly the blue light. So as in the figure, we are seeing the phototropin. Two parts of phototropin is there, two domains are there. This is voltage domain, this is also the O and V domain, and blue light excites the pigment. When blue light strikes this pigment at the zeaxanthic part, light domain, oxidation takes place, voltage domain change, conformational change takes place, and one more thing is there, effector domain kinase, where serine and threonine activity takes place. So how it works? Phototropin works. Blue light hits the phototropin in cell, that is the cell membrane. Phototropin will unfold and undergo phosphorylation that cause a cascade of events inside the cell, and this cascade of events results in the form of mostly the bending of stem towards the light, opening of stomata, chloroplast movement inside the cell, and mediate the first change in the stem elongation in blue light before cryptocombs become active. So blue light absorbing pigments or blue light activating pigments are there, which are called as the phototropin. Next pigment or important pigment is cryptochrome. So it is also a flavor protein but not embedded in a membrane. Cryptochrome has two chromophore, that is pterin and FAD. The structure of cryptochrome is similar to bacterial photolase. The term cryptochrome was first initially coined for blue light photoreceptor as in the phototropin as a reflection of cryptic, that is mysterious nature of this chromoprotein. Subsequently, CRY genes were found to encode 70 to 80 KDA protein of which dimerization active state means that cryptic gene or CRY gene is there, which results in the formation of cryptochromes. CRY1, CRY2 exhibit 80% homology in their amino acid sequence at the amino terminal region, but only 40% homology at the C terminal region. All three type of cryptochrome CRY1, 2 and 3 protein contain a highly conserved motif called DAS. In CRY1, CRY2, DAS is located at C terminals. So working of cryptochrome. So as these are also a blue light hitting pigment or blue light reacting pigment, when the blue light hits the CRY1 get activated, the MTHF part of this particular cryptochrome suggests more degradation of H5 HY5, and after that it goes into the transcription or it intermediate into the transcription and photomorphogenesis takes place. Blue light triggers binding of C terminus of CRY1, working of cryptochrome. As we are seeing in the figure, in the nucleus of SPA1 and COP1, thereby preventing the degradation of HY5 and other transcription factors, leading to promotion of blue light mediated photomorphogenesis. Blue light induced phosphorylation could also be controlled to maintain the C terminus of CRY1 in a active form. So in this way, cryptochrome works. Then biological clock. What is biological clock? Biological clock is photoperiodism, that is simply the internal system known as endogenous biological clock. Photoperiod is inextricably linked to and that particular plant's internal system. So various photoperiodic signal or a particular photoperiodic response or a particular photoperiod is perceived by a plant, and that perceived signal, it may be of 24 hours, it may be of one day, it may be of 6 months. So that is pursued by plants, and this signal or this perception response in the form of flowering, and plants response this as stomatal opening, hypocotyl length, petal opening, flowering. So as in the figure, plants gives themselves a time or they sets themselves a time for flowering because of perception of this photoperiod, that is the critical length of the day and night. So that particular phenomenon is called as biological clock in case of the plant. This biological clock is because of protein phosphorylation of phototropy, protein phosphorylation of first pigment, that we have seen red light as absorbing pigment and far red light absorbing pigment, that is the phytochromes. So these clock movements refers to the chloroplast movement, that is somatal opening, or it may be gene expression, it may be flowering, it may be a petal opening. So in this way we have covered a most important topic, that is the photoperiodism and biological clock. I hope you may have noted some important details of the pigments and the phototropism. So, best luck for upcoming exams. Thank you.